Hi everyone, welcome to another Yacht Zen Again video.
Today we're presenting a tour of the boat, on deck and below.
We hope you enjoy the video.
Hi everyone, today we're touring Zen Again. Zen Again is an ST 10.4 designed by Ken Hayashi and built in 1986 by Yamazaki Yachts in Japan. She is an IOR 3/4 tonner. Zen Again's LOA is 10.4 metres, her beam 3.5 metres and her draft 2 metres. She displaces 6 tonnes fully loaded. We'll tour the deck, the cockpit and then below decks. We filmed here in Gosport and in London's St Catherine's Dock. So let's have a look at Zen Again's deck layout. Up on the bow we have our Manson Supreme anchor, which has been a fantastic anchor. Now needs a good re-galvanising. Anchor swivel and back to our manual anchor windlass. In terms of furlers, we have 2 profurls. This is on the main headsail. And on the staysail. A couple of things that give away the boat's age are the fair leads here and the mooring cleats. So on the foredeck we've got a large hatch. You can see some fittings on the deck where we used to have granny bars. Got the 2 dorades and the forward and aft lowers and cap and intermediate shrouds each side. The rig is a masthead rig with 2 sets of spreaders. And the mast is deck stepped. See the feed through for the electrical cables. Quite a few blocks at the base of the mast. On the mast itself we only have the staysail halyard, 2 main halyards. There's room for 2 jib halyards, we only have 1 run at the moment. But coming down from the boom we have 2 sets of tack and clew lines for reefing the main, clew out, haul, the boom vang, and 2 main sheet lines. The rod kicker, boom vang, and we have a figure of 8 style boom brake, and along each side of the boom we have the boom tent, which you'll see extended in one of the other videos, and the boom bag with lazy jacks. So moving aft from the boom, outboard we have very good stainless handholds, and you can see there the staysail jib block, midship's mooring cleats, headsail block. The dodger is supported by the main sheet arch, which you just automatically hold on to when you're anywhere near it. It's brilliant. And we have Anderson winches and the main cockpit winches, 1 each side. Take lines from the 4 foot blocks, lockable foot blocks. So we have the jib sheet, staysail sheet, the reaching sheet and the boom brake on each side. Further aft in the cockpit we have a handy billy which we use for
hoisting the outboard on board, but we can also use it in man overboard recovery, which is why there's another one on the starboard quarter. New mooring cleats, old style mooring cleats, adjustable backstay with the HF antenna, weather station at the back, HF whip antenna is the backup to the backstay, and there we are. That is the on deck tour of Zen Again. So here we are in the cockpit of Zen Again at St Catherine's Dock in London, looking at the two 13 kilo British propane gas cylinders. When we came from Australia we had two 9 kilo tanks, which we'll revert to when we leave the UK. As you can see, we have a tiller and two 130 watt solar panels, and down aft we have a weather station which also gives us wind and GPS information. We have a Honda outboard on the back, which we expect to replace this year. We have a 6-man life raft under the cover there in a frame, and the lazarette is quite large, so 4 water jerry cans on the top there, but the storage is very deep, so this is where we keep our cleaning materials, paints, spare small stuff, rope, and in fact you can see down the back the two old Australian gas cylinders. We actually have a tumble washing machine down the back there, and in the 4 smaller white buckets we have things like sandpaper, glues, stuff like that. The rudder post that you can see there, just bare stainless steel, is so that's a tube in which the rudder shaft runs. So if the bottom bearing did fail, any water would be contained hopefully within that tube. Moving on to the port side, we have 2 cockpit lockers. The aft one is quite small. It was originally designed as a gas tank holder, but we've adapted it for more general purpose use. And the forward one is huge. It extends outboard and under the smaller locker. So we have a spare tube, we have our spare lines, we have we store a lot of fenders in there a lot of the time. We have 5 diesel jerrys and 1 additional water jerry, so we have a total of 5 diesel and 5 water. And there is a bilge pump and the engine controls. Moving around to face forward, we've got the engine control panel for our Craftsman engine. We'd have winch handles and knives there, and then looking at the rear of the coach roof, we've got 2 autopilot controls, one on each side, and on one side a compass, on the starboard side a chart plotter. Here we have the main sheet arch, which also supports the Dodger. It's made out of 1.5-inch stainless steel and very securely mounted so that it can take the main sheet load. And here we have the clutches, port side, groceries and clutches on the starboard side. So that is a quick tour of Zen Again's cockpit, finishing with a look underneath the boom tent. Okay, so here we are in the Forepeak. As you can see, we have a collision bulkhead here, beyond which is the chain locker, and you can see the tack fitting for the inner forestay. Nice new cushions. It's a pretty basic fit out, but these two cushions give us a nice double berth, which is great in harbour. So below the forward berths we have the pipe top frames that you can see above, blue around the white aluminium tubing. They actually rotate upwards against the hull, and that gives us access to a large storage space behind the bulkhead here. That's actually split into two with a horizontal floor, and below the floor is a water bladder which provides water for the head. On the starboard side we have our bilge pump hose, various other stuff, bosun's chair, also a sewing machine. Here we have a piece of luggage in case we need to get on a plane, and you can see there the two tube heaters which we use in cold European winters when we have shore power. Just after that we have one of our fire extinguishers. After the forepeak we have our recently redecorated head compartment with a Levac marine toilet, nice new sink, revarnished everything, a mirror, and outboard we have a set of lockers which contain our first aid equipment. In various bags or boxes. And there is actually a bilge down below. At various stages we've had a pump to pump out that bilge, but we don't use that at present. And in the locker under the sink we have 3 seacocks for the head, 2 for the head and 1 for the sink drain. Opposite the head compartment we have a large hanging locker which we use to hang stuff or store stuff. So a variety of things at the moment, but there is actually part of it is hanging locker, and beneath the floor there's a nice large locker for stuff as well. And you can just perhaps make out the heavy wooden bulkhead to which the chain plates for the rig, or one of the set of chain plates, is attached. Moving aft from the head and the hanging locker through the main bulkhead into the saloon. Pretty standard for a 1980s cruiser racer. The cushion covers provide a good waterproof cover over the regular cushions which are under there. And down on the floor at the moment we have our dehumidifier, which is one of the things that's kept us warm and dry over the European winter. You can see also we have mains power distributed to various places in the boat. This is one of the main outlets. That's shore power. We don't use an inverter for that. On the main bulkhead we have a TV, clock, tales of where we've been, the necessary Australian registration plaque, and most importantly in winter we have a gas powered or propane powered heater, which is marvellous. The seat back cushions are actually lockers where we keep a lot of our clothes, and that's worked out really well. And you can see 2 more tube heaters in here, which are about 100 watts each. In the middle is the what we call the pedestal, or the cabin table. Under the table there's a large storage area, and at the bottom, beneath a heavy floor, there are our 4 house batteries, which give us 440 amp hours. The Xantrex unit you can see there is the battery charger, so from mains to the house batteries. We have a battery monitor and a couple of portable device power supplies there, so USB-C and quick charge USB to charge up our laptops and phones and iPads. Another fire extinguisher forward, and a hatch over the top, and fans on each side. Outboard in the saloon we have storage on each side in different formats each side. On the starboard side it's the skipper's side, my clothes, things like printers, electrical chargers, the HF radio there, and sleeping bags, various other stuff. And then behind the seat backs there are more lockers with electrical and mechanical spares. On the port side and the admiral side is where Nikki stores her clothes, and also where we keep all our food. That's the day locker for food. That's where we go for snacks. And behind the seat back lockers we keep most of our food, in addition to some being under the floorboards when necessary. Throughout the boat we have these LED lights, which we found really good. After the main saloon area, on the starboard side we have the nav station, which has a fairly small seat with a locker underneath, and a chart table with reasonable storage down below. A set of lockers, all very conventional. Over here we have our gas detector control panel. There are actually more lockers underneath the chart table beyond the drawers, and generally we navigate using a laptop, and we have HDMI out there going to the TV. And where once our instrument panel had chart plotters and HF radios and various instrumentation, we had our backup autopilot controller here for a while, but it's now much more minimal, just the circuit breaker switches and a USB power outlet for a computer or portable devices. And over here we have our solar panel controller, and 2 chargers for our handheld VHFs. We have 2 of them so that we can both take one ashore, and in rough weather we each have one of those in our bum bags. After the main saloon area, on the port side we have the galley, and it's pretty conventional again. We have a locker below the sink where we keep all of our cleaning materials and such likes. Below it there's a pickup for the Cockpit manual bilge pump, so that's the bilge pump operable from on deck. A nice deep sink, and our very important drinks locker, onto which light can be shone. There we go. Outboard we have various storage, and here we have our fridge, which has performed fantastically since we put it in Perth in 2015. We have a thermoport electrical heater, a little kettle here for when we're onshore power, the control panel for the fridge, and one of two heading sensors for one of the autopilots, compass coming across the outside, that's the back of the chart plotter, the second autopilot heading sensor, and VHF hand bearing compass. Our quarter berth is mainly a storage area, so no cushions. We don't use it to sleep in, but there's a large amount of storage underneath the boards here, and we use the area above for quite a bit of storage as well. And on the back side you can see the two autopilot controllers, the backup and primary, so we have two completely redundant and both fully calibrated autopilot systems. So behind these doors we have the engine. So we have a Craftsman CM 3.27, where the 3 means 3 cylinders and the 27 means 27 horses. We installed the engine ourselves in Thailand in 2014 after the previous Yanmar engine gave up the ghost after many thousands of hours with previous owners. We chose the Craftsman because of the spacing of the engine beds. The Yanmar that was in there previously had specially adapted mounting arms which would not have fitted the current Yanmars, so it was easiest to go for this Craftsman, which has proven to be a very good engine. We've done over 1,000 hours now. It's entirely standard. We have not fitted a high output alternator, but it's easy to service. We have an inspection hatch on the starboard side, which we'll take a look at in a moment, but you can see that we have a couple of small electric heaters in here to cope with the European winter and stop the engine freezing, and the engine start battery is at the back there. So we've got a primary fuel filter here with the very useful hand pump for priming purposes. And if we go around to the side, we can see that the secondary fuel filter, the oil filter, dipstick, the impeller pump is there, so they're all readily accessible. And behind the gearbox we've got the red plastic flexible coupling through to the shaft seal. So she's a shaft drive back through a P-bracket to a two-bladed folding propeller. And that's the wet box there. We also have a second wet box just in the lazarette. Okay, so that was our tour of Zen Again. We hope you enjoyed it.
We're in lockdown here in Gosport, so we hope all's well with you. Take care, stay safe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.